Welcome in, viewers, and my name's Troy Hardy, and I'm with...
GORDY GIBBONS.
Hey,
mate,
Gordy.
I love that opening intro. I love that song.
Well, mate, that's all about AI, and if we didn't have AI, we probably wouldn't have got our camera set up today, Chief. So, look, this has been a long journey. You've been with me from the very start, 2013, November, when we launched Carlaw Park Diehards at the Strand Hotel.
Remember it well.
And, mate, Rugby League, we're here about Carlaw Park, so let's wind the clock back for us because we've got a lot to get through in regards to who our guests are going to be, who's coming on board, right? And we've got some really cool stuff happening around that. But Rugby League, first memory for you, mate. Can you remember that far back?
No, absolutely I can, because I was very lucky to have a mum who loved Rugby League, so she followed Ponsonby, the great Jack Fagan, the halfback for Ponsonby. So whenever they were playing at Carlaw Park, my brother Ron and I used to go along there, so absolutely loved going there. And my very first game on Carlaw Park, 1976, and I'd already played Premier Reserves on the Saturday for Manukau, my club, and I took my sister Martha and we were going to watch my brother Ron play at Carlaw Park. Main game, 2:30, best ever. I mean, in those days you get 10,000 people sitting in the stand, sometimes 14. But went to Carlaw Park, walking down Carlaw Park Lane, go through the gates. Cameron Bell standing at the gates here. Have you got your boots? I went, yeah. In my car he said, go and get them. You're starting. When you are kidding me. Oh, just about to swear then. You are bloody kidding me. So I ran back to the car, got my boots, settled my sister Martha into the wooden stand, went into the changing room, and I started at fullback against Richmond. And who was I marking? Who was the fullback for Richmond? Go on.
In 1976?
It's 1976.
Oh, I want to say maybe an Arkoi.
Freddie Arkoi, yeah. So here's the story. So halfway through the game, we lost, but we didn't lose badly. Freddie Arkoi gets the ball, comes charging up through our defensive line. I'm the last one left to beat. So I'm lined up and, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to tackle Fred Arkoi. He chips the ball over my head, regathers and scores underneath the post. And I'm going, what the heck just happened there? Ian Bell came up to me and said, don't worry, Gordy, he's beaten a lot of better blokes than you. Shane Varley was there laughing his head off too. I remember that as well. But yeah, marvellous memory to have. And I'll never forget that. I mean, but Carlaw Park is such a special place. And of course, I got married there. Only wedding at Carlaw Park.
We're going to have to bring that photo up for you too, Chief. So I'm gonna map that in. And as Gordy said, you know, not only did he have his wedding there, but your whole group, and there was a little bit of reception for a grandstand photo shot as well.
Oh, there was. No, it was absolutely wonderful. And the story behind that was in April in 2000 that I got married, and it was supposed to be winter, but the day was perfect. Of course, Carlaw Park had a big marquee in the middle of the field. Everybody filled up the wooden stand, and my wedding was timed for when the West Tigers played here, because Jared McCracken was supposed to be my best man. But the week before, Wayne Pearce was the coach of West Tigers, and they got beaten quite badly, and he had asked to have leave, and he cancelled. He said, no one's leaving camp. You're all in camp. We're here to play football, not to be out socialising. So I had to rejig everything. Brought Jason Mackey in off the bench to come into my wedding party, and my son Garrett moved up into the best man's role. So yeah, it was a wonderful day. It was just so, you know, everybody, all the Warriors were basically there. All my Kiwi contacts were there because I was working at Lion then. Had Lion trucks all parked on the number one field. Carlaw Park, special place for everybody, but more special for me and my wife, Stella.
Great to hear, mate. And, you know, whilst we're sort of going to have a wee bit of a reflection, and there's a ton of fans out there that have, you know, the playing on the hill with the piece of cardboard, you know, behind by the score stand. You know, the only international field that I'm aware of that had Zigzag as a sponsor on the playing field. I mean, you know, this is real life stuff.
And the only field that turned into a mud bath after it rained, because it was a Chinese market gardens for.
True. Yeah, it was. Talking to a lot of the Kiwis and a lot of players that played, maybe not even at that level, a special home, as we've talked about, you know, the spiritual home of Rugby League, to be able to run out to Carlaw Park and have the crowd so close to you.
Yeah.
You know, you could hear the conversation about, you know, your mother, and you know, the opposition talking about your parents, being able to go around the back of the stadium and smell that stuff.
Yeah,
right?
that's the liniment.
Yeah, and listen to the whole new language on what was coming through the louvers in regards to the halftime coach addressing the teams.
Very special, very special.
In regards to your whole life of rugby league, because you've worked at Auckland Rugby League, you've worked at New Zealand Rugby League, you've worked at the Warriors, you actually were located at one stage at Carlaw Park, working out of the grounds?
No, never out of Carlaw Park. Auckland League, when I started, was actually in this building.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was this building upstairs, New Zealand Rugby League, 7 Beasley Ave, and then we moved up the road and Auckland League moved into the upstairs up there. So, but very, very special times. And because I worked at Lion for 14 years, and I was basically in charge of rugby league and a number of other sports. So a lot of stories there to tell about that.
Just on that, Gordy. Yeah. So Lion Red, big, strong, stalwart sponsor of rugby league.
Yep.
How did that all come about, and when did it sort of come to an end? Because it kind of come to an end.
Yeah, well, 1961 was when Lion Red first aligned themselves with rugby league, and they were just so dominant. And Lion Red was probably the biggest brand for Lion breweries alongside Steinlager prior to Speight's coming in and becoming a national beer when Speight's was mainly down the South Island. But Lion Red was absolutely the beer of rugby league. So when DB took over or got the first year of the Warriors sponsorship, Lion Red had to drastically do something to try and keep their name aligned with with rugby league. So they went and made up the Lion Red Cup, which turned out to be a fantastic event. So that first year of that was 1994. And, of course, the Warriors started in 1995. Best year of Lion Red Cup was 94 because all the Warrior players were playing for all those provincial teams. And, of course, in 95, a lot of them when it started for the Warriors, of course. But Lion Red in those days supported every club, every province, every club, and, of course, the Kiwis. They were called the Lion Red Kiwis for a number of years. So, and now, of course, Lion Red is not as strong as it used to be. I still drink it. It's still my number one beer, but it's nowhere near as strong as it would be. And of course, the marketing spend that they have has diminished quite a bit as well.
Yeah,
but it's still there. It's still there.
I think that's a changing market, and craft beers coming in. Here we go. We're going to start talking about alcohol and beers now. And the old quart bottle sort of went out the go, and everyone's drinking a green glass.
I still drink quart bottles.
There you good boy, good boy. Look, so we're going to jump all around the place because that's how we want this thing to be, and really interactive for the viewers and you guys. Ask some questions. Who do you want to see on the show? Gordy's got a ton of connections and networks, and by probably 2 degrees of separation, there's a couple of boys that I know I can reach out and touch as well to join us. Yeah. Magpies, Manurewa Magpies. Yeah. How did you get involved with them? And you had a long stint with and you're coaching now down there as well.
Oh, yeah, coached this year. Under six Avengers, mate. Wonderful year coaching them. Yeah, because that came about because my brother Ron, his grandson, was going to play for league this year for Manurewa, and they didn't have a coach. So the old thing is, well, if you don't coach them, then they won't have a team. So okay. We had an absolute ball, frustrating as hell.
Yeah,
with 5 and 6 year old kids, but loved every minute of it. So now we've got to decide whether we're going to go back. But to answer your first question, what was your first question?
First question is how did you get involved with Manurewa? And because you were there in the management, and we talk about a couple of signings too. Because I got you got sticks across.
Yeah, Owen. Yeah, you got sticks. Yeah. Because Nicky was already there. So I first started there with my brother Ron, and I was 5 and he was already been played a couple of years, but started there. But when I first started, it was Western Mangere, and
right.
Or was it Manurewa Green Lane, one of the two, and then it went from them to Manurewa. So that's how Manurewa came, and they're now 115 years old in Manurewa.
Yeah.
So and I had the absolute pleasure of emceeing their awards night a couple of weekends ago, which was a great honour for me to go back to the old club and do that. But all through the grades, and I had some great coaches there. Doug Gailey was one of the best coaches that I ever played for. Player coach he was at the time too, hard as nails. And Christ, if you did something wrong, he'd give you a smack around the head. Brian Tracy coached me there for a while, and the great Cameron McGregor, Cameron Bell, who obviously is part of the Bell dynasty at Manukau. He was a marvellous coach. But the players that have come through there, way back in the 80s, I think when the Kiwis were selected, I think there was like 11 players that were playing for Manukau at the time, and the rest were because that's when the team was picked from New Zealand base mainly. Kelly Shelford, Dave Watson, Bruce Gall, Ian Bell, Dean Bell, Clayton Friend, Nicky Wright, of course, and then Wright came on board, and funnily enough, we never won the Fox in that big area. We had the Root Rooster, had the opportunity to play against St Helens when they came over here, because how they worked that was whoever was leading the Fox then when St Helens came over got to play them at Carlaw Park, and what a day that was. We beat St Helens too, by the way. And you couldn't get back into Manukau at Moyle Park. The place was absolutely chocker. But some wonderful players come there, and wonderful to see Manukau in 2025. They finished third in the Fox, and not for a bounce of a ball and some calls going their way. They could have been playing Otahu in the final instead of Mount Albert. But Manukau starting to come back in there and becoming a great team again.
Just on the Manurewa Magpies, I understand we've got a couple going to join us, Gordy. You got a couple of guests teed up for us?
Oh, absolutely, and it wouldn't be hard to work out those two. It'll be Dean Bell and Clayton Friend. So we're going to get them on. They'll be the next couple of weeks or something. So we're looking forward to having a chat with them, and also players that maybe haven't spent so much time at Carlaw Park. I spoke to Manu Batave, the Beast, to see if we can get him on, and he's quite keen to come on and have a chat as well. And don't forget, we've got women now who played at Carlaw Park, played test matches at Carlaw Park. So Luisa Aviaki,
yes,
we've got the absolute pleasure and honour to have her on and have a chat as well. So, and we're going to stretch back a bit, but I think it's important that we look at the future as well and have a chat. And I mean, you talk about Stacey Jones, the little general. He worked at Carlaw Park. He worked as an assistant groundsman to Brian Jack for a number of years when he was just going through the system here when the Warriors started. So he was there. That was his taste at Carlaw Park, working there, mowing the lawns and marking the fields.
Would have been hard work for Stace too, eh? What a dream job. Living the dream. Living the dream.
Living the dream is right. But yeah, I mean, and everybody's got a memory of Carlaw Park. Everybody's got a memory of Carlaw Park, and not necessarily about league too. What about all the concerts that have been there, boxing matches that have been there? So yeah, everybody that I've spoken to has got some sort of memory of Carlaw Park. And then of course you go down there now, and it's just a suburban
conference centre, student. I nearly said hotel, but it's like a dorm room and what have you.
For the varsity.
Petrol station, so on and so forth. It is like a very unusual stadium, and from the Kiwis that I've spoken to, from people that have been to Carlaw Park who have played on stadiums around the world and had the best opportunities, like Wembley, but Carlaw Park had two fields. So number one, the curtain raiser, two sides would come out and get ready to kick off. Then halfway through, number two kicks off. And then halfway through that game, the main game of Carlaw Park for the afternoon, 6 tribes. And I mean, it was tribal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when Warriors go to war, they need a coliseum. Yeah. Is Mount Smart the same vibe?
No, it's not. No. It's not the same vibe. But that's not to say that Mount Smart Go Media Stadium is a bad stadium, because it's not. And I prefer that to playing any of the Warriors home games at Eden Park.
True.
That's
I get it. Yeah.
That distance, but. I love Go Media Stadium, but it's never ever going to be a Carlaw Park, and Carlaw Park is never going to be replicated again. It's just not. But in saying that, you look at Go Media Stadium, you get 26,000 people in there. The vibe in there is amazing. It's absolutely amazing, and everybody loves being there, especially when you sing the winning song at the end of the game. But yeah, no, it's. What about you? I mean, what about you at Carlaw Park? What the times that you played there?
So, mate, my first memory of Carlaw Park is Mount Albert Grammar. All right, and I went to a grammar school, rugby hard there, loved them all very dearly. Mount Albert was very fortunate with how many rugby league stars went through there, the Arcoys we touched on earlier. Our big families that went to Mount Albert and played first 15. So the big push in those days were to play first 15. It was a big focus, but if you could make the rugby league side, and we had so many big boys in front of us, so I'm pretty sure there were third year, sixth, fifth year formed, guys that are 19 and 20 with 3 kids, so making the team was difficult. And anyway, I made the team, and it was the only year that we lost. So that was my first memory, running out onto Carlaw Park, and I can remember the ground was really sandy the time we had arrived, or as opposed to being a muddy bog type. So I don't know whether they brought in half the beach from St Heliers, but it was all set ready for that sort of feel. We played Aotearoa. Joe Rapati was playing on the day, carved up our back line, and we had some good players. We had Andrew Arcoy in the centres, Mickey Yanasa, I think, Junior Kiwi. My memory could go back and I could pull them all out, and I'll try and find a team photo and add it to the podcast. Just the fact of being there was enough for me. And then fortunate after that.
So who were you playing? Who did you play?
We played Aotearoa College.
College.
So it was a college rugby league match, and we went down, sadly. But coming back after that, played club football there, managed to get on number 2 with the Pirates, and then an opportunity came up after doing the junior Kiwis and touring Papua New Guinea. Coming back, we did an Australian junior test there with Aussie.
The New Zealand Rugby League junior Kiwis, who returned from their tour of Papua New Guinea on Tuesday, were back in action just the day after their return. They shared the series with Papua New Guinea, and then last Wednesday played the first of 2 tests against Australia at Carlaw Park here in Auckland.
That's another good line kick. Sorensen's been good on the line kicks today. Been a little hesitant in moving the back line along, and has looked 2 or 3 times when the ball has come along the line for a pass inside. So New Zealand closing the gap, 17 points to 11, 15 minutes gone, second half. Let's have a look at it again. It was a nicely set up move. George Sorensen flicking it out. Lazy in the line there, kept it going, flicked it on a bit more. Nice running in the line there from Troy Hardy, coming in, got a pass out. Rapana was in the line as well, came back out again to Adrian Shelford, and Shelford put Ropati in a gap. Ropati drew the man, and Dean Orr finished it.
And we just got beat on that match. So that was a special moment to be able to, wear the black and white jersey, even though, just a junior fella, but still memories are made.
Still a Kiwi jersey.
And a lot of talent came out of that team. So Joe Rapati, Brett Todd, Adrian Shelford, rest in peace. I'm just trying to think. Ricky Cowan, loved the guy, and he went on to play, higher honours, and ended up in the big dust up with Kevin Tamati, and held his own. Love you, Rick. So all that sort of stuff as a young fella stays with you, because it's like first love.
Yeah.
All right, so this is...
Well, speaking of first love, nah.
It's just like, so first love, before girls, before making money, before any of that stuff, running around with the football, the guys getting yelled at to come in and, it's dark, come off the street. That's probably why Carlaw Park started, and the Carlaw Park diehards. So I had a photo with my old man, who's now passed away. It was on Facebook, for about 48 hours. Orders for 60 shirts from 4 different countries, and I thought there's something in that. Yeah. So I'd try and catch up with maybe, 20 blokes who I hadn't seen from, football days after breaking down as a young fella. And in that first week, 1,000 people walked in. The rest is history. Wow. And you were part of the launch on that, mate. So and wasn't that a special night?
Oh, it was a special night. I remember that well. I just thought of something then when you mentioned the sand on Carlaw Park. That was actually used for a beach volleyball tournament in the late 90s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was when I was at Lion, because I think Corona was the sponsor of it, and they used Carlaw Park as a beach volleyball for a beach volleyball tournament. There you go, trucked in the sand.
Yeah.
And left it there.
The ground needed it, Mate, so yeah, those are my fond memories of Carlaw, playing on the field. I managed to get down there and see my dad, Viv Skeen. He played for the Ponies, reserve, and came up every now and then. His great mate, Donnie Mann, and going in and listening to the halftime chats, and the characters that were there, and that sort of vibe. I thought, well, it is a special place, but to grow up and to have the opportunity of playing there later on in life, just really special. It was great. It was great. Rugby League, let's keeping this moving at a nice little clip. So outside of the Lion Red tie-up, you end up in Auckland management, in a commercial sense, and I want to talk about the Kiwis. I mean, how many times? How many times did you go tour with the Kiwis? And some of the good mates that you forged with, because I want to talk about 2008. I'd rung Ray Heff.
What happened in 2008?
2008, mate. I rang Ray Heff, and I was working for Foster's then at the day, and we had a box at Mount Smart Stadium. We had nothing in it, right? And what used to happen is the Australian management would come over, and just basically I'd get it all day, all year, all week. About we're pumping the Kiwis, we're doing this, we're doing that, the Kangaroos, this, that, and now. And 2008 arrives. And I'm going to let you talk to what happened at that moment in time.
Yeah.
But I asked Ray Heff if there was any chance that I could get a Kiwi jersey signed, and I'd supply the jersey because I wanted to stick it up in the box, high up. And at that time, VB sponsored the Kangaroos.
Yes.
And I was going to hang the VB jersey like this, right? So they'd sent the jersey over. I had that. Ray says, no, you got to talk to this guy, Gordy Gibbons. Gordy's the man, and he'll sort it out for you. So I rang you, Gordy, and I didn't know you. We hadn't met, and I managed to get through to you, and I said, look, is there a chance, I'm going to give you this jersey, we'll get it signed, blah, blah, blah. Well, you came back to me and said, yeah, look, I'm down at NZ House. Come and see me, I got something for you. Well, mate, I'm now just going to bring this up. I come and see him. He doesn't use the souvenir jersey. Who would do that when you could pull out a jersey from the playing kit? Given it was 38, number 30, I didn't care.
Always had 40 done. Always numbered 40.
Had all of the names on it, had all that, just in regards to the framing of that, was near about $3,000. And I had play-by-play, minute-by-minute, who had scored, who hadn't scored.
Yeah.
It was pride and possession. When I left Foster's, there was one thing you told me. You make sure you take that with you when you leave.
So did you?
Yeah. It's at home. It's at home, Chief. And it's pride and place.
Yeah.
And why? Let's talk about 2008, mate, and what you were doing.
Let's go back to when I first started, because when I left Lion, they had a restructure, that's in inverted commas, and I could have stayed at Lion, but I'd been there for 14 years, and I'd had a fantastic run, and I had a new family as well, so left Lion and basically that started the next day at Auckland Rugby League as their head of operations. And
okay.
So that was a fantastic time for me. 8 years I was there. Pat Carthy was my boss then. Cameron McGregor was on the board. Sal Pearson, of course, the great Sal Pearson. They were all there, and it was all old school. Stan Martin was head of development.
Rest in peace, Stan.
Who we've just lost tragically, and that we just had such a small team. I think there was 8 or 9 of us, but we ran the game. So I was there for 8 years, and then I got shoulder tapped to go over to the Warriors as their head of corporate. And it was a big deal for me to go over there because John Ackland had just started at Auckland Rugby League. There had been a few changes, so John Ackland had started there. So he was bringing in some real positive stuff. But I decided to go to the Warriors. Best move I ever made. And went to the Warriors as head of corporate sales, and we struggled then. That was 16, 17, 18, and those were the years we struggled on the field as a team. So selling corporate packages was a tough gig.
Who was your GM? Scarra was looking after it?
Wayne Scarra when I first started, then Jim Doyle and Cameron George was there as 2IC.
Right.
But I love being there. Anyhow, fast forward, so I was there for close to 6 years, and then I got shoulder tapped to come to New Zealand Rugby League as head of commercial and communications. And it was more of an ego thing for me to leave the Warriors. Worst decision I ever made in my working career was to leave the Warriors because I loved it there. And Cameron George, who had taken over as a CEO, was probably the best CEO that I'd ever worked with.
Right.
He's amazing, and he still is. And that's why that club is so successful. Okay, we've got the players for it, but it's led from the top, and Cameron George is that man. So I came to New Zealand League. Greg Peters, who I had a relationship with when I was at Lion, because he was at Bay of Plenty Rugby, and I used to look after rugby when he was in charge down there. So I came to New Zealand League. COVID hit 2018, 2019, so unfortunately I lost my job. So I was only here for 2.5 years, and which, I was very, very disappointed about that. I was like, right, that's that. I'll never have nothing more to do with rugby league. And where do I end?
And here he is, loving it.
Where do I end up? So I'm now the manager of the New Zealand Rugby League Museum, which I love. I mean, the history in this room is amazing. Make sure that you get to this museum, and if you're ever in Auckland, get in here, give me a call, send me an email, museum@nzrl. I'd love to see you to come in here and have a wander around. So my Kiwi tenure, well, that started when I was at Lion, because Lion was the major sponsor for the Kiwis. So I more or less got in there through the back door, and my very first tour was to Australia with the New Zealand 13, and Frank Endicott was the coach, and Sal Shanks was the manager, and he asked if I would like to go over to join them when they played a test match, which is a New Zealand 13 against an Australian 13 up in Brisbane. So I went over there and we won that game, and that sort of started my relationship there. So that was in 1993, at the end of 93. Well, in 94, they invited me to go on the tour to Papua New Guinea, and talk about a baptism of fire, going to Papua New Guinea.
Been there.
But, yeah, wonderful, wonderful tour.
Words have no words.
Wonderful tour. So we played 4 games. We played 3 tests and one against the Port Moresby Vipers.
Yep.
Absolute amazing experience. We got tear gassed in one game in Port Moresby, only because the people just wanted to get close to the team, and they were trying to get in over the fence, and it was
through the trees.
Let the German Shepherd dogs go. Had the big black bloody pipes that they were hitting back to keep the crowds back. But wonderful experience. And then went all the way through to 2004. Now, I must emphasise that I was like the assistant to the assistant to the assistant when I did my first tour.
Right. So who are you assisting?
To Ray Haffenden, who taught me so much about the game, and Bevan Olsen, may he rest in peace as well. So they taught me a heck of a lot, and went all the way through to 2004. My last tour, when Daniel Anderson was the coach then, and I decided that I'd had enough. That was 10 years that I'd been involved with the game. And so I decided to step away. Long story short, come 2008, I get a call early 2008 from Peter Courts, who was the then general manager for New Zealand Rugby League. He said, Gordy, I'm just here with the Kiwis management, and we're just discussing who we want as manager. And both Stephen Kearney, who's the head coach, and Wayne Bennett is the coaching advisor.
Wow.
Have said they want you to come back in as the manager. I said, look, Peter, thank you so much, but I've really had my run. Give somebody that's a lot younger, to come in and have a chance to manage the Kiwis, and hung up. So that was it. And about 10 minutes later, the phone goes, and it was Wayne Bennett, and I'd got to know Wayne Bennett quite well because Lion Red lost the Warriors. They aligned themselves with Brisbane Broncos, which is 4X, which is Lion Nathan.
Of course, of course. For those that don't know about the brands, absolutely.
Yeah. So whenever they used to come over, I used to look after them. So I've got a few stories about that too. So Wayne rang me and said, Gordy, Wayne Bennett here. We have a management meeting for the Kiwis tomorrow night at New Zealand Rugby League House at 6:00. See you there, and hung up the phone. So I turned to my wife, Stella, and said, guess what? I'm back managing the Kiwis.
Yeah.
So do you want me to mention a bit about 2000?
Absolutely. This is why we're here, because these are the memories, these are the stories that we need to pull out. Yeah. And the one thing about the podcast is it'll be long here after we've gone, my friend.
Yeah. Look at that. So 2008, we got together, and our first test match for that year, and World Cup year, and let's emphasise this, it was the 100th celebration for Australian Rugby League. So everything was geared around them winning the World Cup for their 100th year, which you do. And I mean, they were the best rugby league nation in the world. So we had the Anzac Test, and that was played at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Now, if you've ever been to the Sydney Cricket Ground, it's an amazing place. Well, we played there, and of course, it was their centenary year, And the Anzac Test went terribly wrong for us, and we lost it 28 points to 12. And we thought, oh, well, here we go. And, of course, that just underlined the fact that the Kangaroos were going to win the World Cup because they're 28-12. And I so remember this. And we went into the changing room after the game, and Wayne Bennett, of course, was there, and Stephen Kearney was the head coach. And after the game, Stephen Kearney gave a speech. He very, very good, very, very good with his after-match speeches and halftime speeches. And he gave the speech, and we'd actually won the second half. Stephen Kearney makes the statement. He said, well, one positive we can take out of the game, boys, is that we won the second half. Well, holy shit. Wayne Bennett stood up and more or less said, well, if there's anybody in this room who thinks winning the second half of a test match is okay, then you may as well get up and walk out now. And everybody went, Wayne Bennett, here we go. And that will stay with me just till the day I die, because we'd always had this thing as, okay, well, we've lost, but it's to Australia. And they're the big boys, you know. And one thing that Wayne Bennett instilled in everybody was that, hold on a second, you guys have the right to be playing, at this level, and don't treat them like your big brother. You can beat them. They're just, skin and bone like the rest of us. So fast forward to the first game in the World Cup in Sydney, and we get beaten again. But the scoreline, first game, 30 points to 6. 30 points to 6. So, of course, what a joke this is going to be. Australia's just going to walk through and take this competition completely. Another thing that I just so remember is that after that game, now we're talking a 30 points to 6 scoreline in a test match, okay?
Just before you go to the point, who dominated in the 30 points for Australia?
Oh, well, Gasnier, Inglis, Lockyer.
Inglis.
Across the park, with just some amazing players there, and they dominated so much. And as I was saying, I was really interrupted. As I was saying, on the bus after the game, we all get on the bus, and Wayne Bennett gets on, and before the bus drives away, he stands up the front and he said, boys, if that's the best Australia can give to us, he said, okay, scoreline 30 points to 6, we're going to win this World Cup because we played only a quarter of what we're capable of, and I'm telling you right here and now, we're going to win this World Cup. And it was just the look on everybody's face, and we went, yeah. So from there, we went up, because I made a few notes here just in case I forgot. So we went up from there to the Gold Coast and played Papua New Guinea. We won that 48-6.
Right,
Then we played England in Newcastle, and we won that 36-24. But a story about that is that we were way behind. We were down like 16 points or something, and I had to leave because I had to take Steve Matai to hospital because he'd done something to his neck. So I didn't know, because we were in the X-ray area, and because of being in the X-ray, I couldn't have my phone on. So I thought we'd got beaten by England. So when I left that stadium, I thought that we'd lost. But of course we won that. We came back and won. And Manu Vatave was an absolute star. I think he scored three tries there. And then we played England again in the semi-final in Brisbane at Suncorp Stadium. We won that 32-22. And the positive thing about beating England was that all the Barmy army that had come over to support them, they weren't going home. They were staying for the grand final. So they all supported the Kiwis.
Yeah.
So stage was set. Stage was set for Australia to come out, centenary year, win the World Cup, put it on the shelf. Thanks for coming, boys, but we're always the dominant one. And they were up at half time. But I need to share something with you, and I'll try and be as quick as I can with it. But right throughout the campaign, we had jersey presentations before each test match. Collar and tie, we had guest speakers, and we had Dane and Kurt. Mark Graham.
That would have been awesome.
Oh, it was just amazing, absolutely amazing. Mark Graham, our player of the century, presented the jerseys before the grand final. Craig Smith from Kiwis and also from Newcastle. But our very first test match, when we got beaten, got pumped 30 points to 6, we had Michael Campbell came in, who had won the US Open in 2005. So he came in and he spoke so well. But one of the things that he emphasised right at the end of his speech was that when he was ahead of Tiger Woods in the US Open on the 10th tee, he was leading Tiger Woods by one shot, and he started to get all this big self-doubt came over him. And he went, hold on a second, what right did this Māori boy from Te Tahi Bay have to be up against the greatest golfer the world has ever seen? And he went, hold on, I've done all the hard work. I've made the sacrifices. I've done everything that I need. I deserve to be here. I deserve to have the right to challenge Tiger Woods to be the best golfer in the world, especially at the US Open. So we came in at half time. We were down by 4 points, I think it was, at half time. And as the boys were going out, Stephen spoke very well, and the confidence was there. I could see it. I could feel it. It was an amazing feeling in that changing room. So as they're going out, Wayne stopped us and said, boys, remember what Michael Campbell said to you. You have the right to be here. You have the right to be challenging the world champions in this World Cup. So go out there and go and bring home the World Cup. I tell you, mate, right from that moment there, I knew we were going to win the World Cup, and you went out, and that was the best 40 minutes of rugby league you will ever see in your entire life. It was just amazing, and came back in after full time, and it was just the amazing celebration, with that 2008 World Cup. We actually locked ourselves in the changing room because we were supposed to have the aftermatch.
Yeah, of course.
And we're all, I'm hurrying them up. They go, piss off, Gordy, we want to have a beer. I said, no, boys, we've got the aftermatch function. That can wait, Knock at the door. Australian official standing at the door said, don't worry about coming to the aftermatch function. Australia have left. I don't even think they had a shower. Went home. So no aftermatch function. So we, after the media left, shut the doors, got on the VBs. And one of the things that right throughout the whole tournament, no drinking, no alcohol.
Yeah, of course.
And, and that was sacrosanct. No one drank alcohol. So, well, holy heck, we made up for it in that changing room.
Good boy.
And I think the first beer I had, I bloody did a right hand of something. They go buffalo, so I had to scull that one and then
Yeah. But you're an old hat at that. You planned that. You planned that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the friendships and stuff. Well, I mean, here, a bloody tattoo on my arm there. Look at that.
Yeah.
You see that there? I got that, but wonderful memories. And then I went on for another year, 2009, and we didn't do so well in the Four Nations. We didn't even make the final of the Four Nations. That's another story. But yeah, ever so grateful. 58 tests I was involved with the Kiwis for.
Well done.
12 years in total, 58 tests. But I was the head manager from 2000, and then 2000, 2004, 2008, 2009. And very, very grateful to the opportunity that I got to be part of the Kiwis, and also from what I learnt from the people that Joe Diamond was another person I learned a heck of a lot of. May he rest in peace as well. Pat Carthy, I learned a heck of a lot of him as well. So over the years, and people say to me, particularly at club level, they say, how hard is it to be a Kiwis manager? It is a lot of hard work. It is a lot of hard work. And one of the things that I always do is that it doesn't matter how many times that you check stuff. It doesn't matter how many times you make sure things are in place. Something is going to go wrong. But
Absolutely.
You just fix it. You just fix it. You don't worry about it. Yeah. And to me, the manager of an under-13 team at Manukau or Richmond or Otahu, they just do as a greater job as anybody that's coaching an international or a provincial, managing an international or provincial team anyway, because they do a great job. And there, especially when you get up into the Kiwis, that you get a lot of resources provided to you. But at club level, you don't. You've got to go out and get your own
absolutely,
resources.
Absolutely.
So that's a brief one of my Kiwi exploits, but something that I'm very proud of.
Mate, the 2008 jersey, and we've talked about the campaign.
Yep.
There is a piece that is the title that I've got on the jersey in the frame, and it's No Regrets.
Yep.
Do you remember that and where that came from?
Yeah, well, that just came from, it was more so Nathan Kalis, our captain, just to make sure that we don't want to turn back and say, we should have done this, or we should have done that, we should have tried harder. No regrets means making sure that you go out, not just for the final, but for every game. Okay, 30-6, go back to that. In that first game we lost. But there was no regrets about that because we knew that what we were capable of, and we proved that going right through to the grand final.
Amazing stuff, man. And I mean, fabulous memories and, on some of the stuff that you've talked about, because, you've been in rugby league probably as part of your DNA. You pump league, right?
Since 5 years of age.
Yeah. Is the piece of moving to Auckland, out to the Warriors, back into New Zealand Rugby League, then out, and now we're here at the New Zealand Rugby League Museum, and I want to thank New Zealand Rugby League and the board that, allowed the diehards to come and take part and to do this here. And this is sponsored by Autex.
This
And I just want to take that back to an amazing man and a company that's been involved with rugby league since, before I can remember about Carlaw Park and, the 3 big, maybe 4 big first English contracts that went. James Lillaway, Dane O'Hara. We're going to get Dane O'Hara in here too.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, so Dane, where are you, mate?
Gary Kimball, of course.
Was one of the first probably big signings for those guys, to go overseas. Yep. And Mr. Robinson was part of that.
David was a huge part of that. He was instrumental in opening that professional pathway, and not just for players too, for coaches, because Cameron Bell, he went over to Carlisle. That was on the back of what David opened up. But then, of course, Dean Bell and Clayton Friend, they were all part of that too, what David had instigated. So this room is very proudly named after David and the Autex company that he founded. And, of course, Mark Robertson, his son, has taken over that mantle now and doing a wonderful job, not just in the business that they're doing, but also in sport with the One New Zealand Warriors. So this room is dedicated to a special man. So, hey, come on in. Our main room, Autex room, some wonderful memories in here. Bring your family.
Yeah, look, and just on Mark, Robbo, if you get to see this or anyone that's connected to Mark, Point Chevalier Pirate Boy, grew up with Mark, and maybe we get him in here and have a bit of a chat. And
I'd love to do that.
Yeah, and just and talk about some rugby league probably from that level, because I know that Mark will have memories around Carlaw Park. Not just from himself as a young fella, but from Dad as well. Mate, we're going to cover so much. I know that we've got a lot of guests penciled to come in here, and if any of the viewers out there have somebody that they'd like us to interview, to see.
That would be great. Yeah, give us your suggestions.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. In regards to ongoing footy, and you're a wonderful talker, all right? You could talk up a storm. Now, part of this is just for our viewers and what have you out there. MC, very eloquent, have a wonderful repertoire of the New Zealand English language. Where am I going with this? Celebrant.
Celebrant.
Yeah. So how do we get hold of you if we want to do a wedding, or we want to do a funeral, or we want to connect with you outside of what we're doing here? Because there's a lot more that goes on, especially in the rugby league space. And if we talk about the last 4 weeks, 5 weeks, Neville Kesher, God loved the man, and and we got to love our referees, right? We have to love the referees. Is that he was my first Auckland coach?
Oh, right.
A disciplinarian.
Yeah.
Disciplinarian. He suffered no fools, did young Neville.
Yeah.
And then, of course, yesterday, Stan Martin.
Yeah, on Monday, he had his funeral.
Yeah. From the rugby league side of things, and, Ray Cranch, I heard just today, you took a phone call around that. Yeah. Can we talk a little bit around that, mate, in regards to how we get hold of you and how you ended up in that space?
Well, I don't know how I ended up being a Celebrant. So I've got my own little business, Celebrant Services by GORDY GIBBONS Limited. Weddings, funerals, civil unions. Please, I'd love to be part of any special day that you've got, and all you've got to do is give me a call, 021 912 927. Would love to hear from you. I've emceed Otahu's prize giving. I did Manukau's prize giving. I also did the Auckland Rugby League's Referees Association prize giving just last Saturday. But I love doing it. I love doing it, especially if it's something to do with rugby league. But it doesn't have to be rugby league if you're getting married. And I do. I'm actually making a suggestion now that if you wanted to get married in the museum, we'd even look at that. Not for your reception. You can get married in here. We can move you around anywhere you want it to be in the museum itself, and then have a couple of beers or a champagne in here, and then go off to your reception. I love what I'm doing. So if you want someone to stand up the front and read your vows for you, or say farewell to your mum or your dad or whoever, I'd love to be part of that. It'd be an honour.
Yeah, and I've seen the man at work, ladies and gentlemen, and he's a true rock star.
Yeah.
The hiring of the venue, just sort of now still staying on the New Zealand Museum. I know that you've done school visits to come here.
Heaps. Retirement villages.
I know I'm back in my old days of being with Foster's. I actually had a sales meeting in here, and we had a full presentation around what it looked like and felt like. in regards to being the small guy with the big brother. So if I use the analogy, New Zealand Kiwis versus the Australian Kangaroos, we'll flip that on its head. And do you think the man who was taking orders for Lion Red was actually selling pellets of Lion Red in? No. Well, you try to be a Foster's guy to try and take orders for Foster's. Now, every single box of that was sold in, man, I can tell you. But great place, great space, and there's been...
I don't charge, or we don't charge a fee, but we take a koha. We don't get any income apart from New Zealand Rugby League, which we're very, very grateful for. They give us a grant twice a year, and without that, we'd struggle big time. We have had a lot of funders in the past, but that's sort of starting to dry up now.
Yeah,
so,
you said that earlier, just touching on that. Yeah. So if you can support the New Zealand Rugby League Museum and the guys here, they do wonderful jobs. I'll put a link up down somewhere where you can put a deposit or, contact Gordy.
Museum at nzrl.co.nz. There was something I wanted to do, Troy.
Absolutely.
You might say no, we might leave it till another time. But what I've done is I went through and thought of all the Kiwis that I've had associations with in my era, in my 58 tests, and I've selected a team. Would we have
awesome? Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, now
and just before we get into this too, all right? So for all the viewers out there, when Gordy names his period team for, what's the date?
So it'll be from 94 to 2004.
Yep.
And then 2008 and 2009.
Okay.
So please remember that, because they'll be going, what happened? And obviously the one player that should be in there right from the get-go is Mark Graham, but he wasn't part of my tenure.
I understand.
So as long as
so everyone's got that on the dates, and I'll ask you the question: can I start from the bench and then come to the team?
You can do that if you want.
Okay. So on the bench, who do you have, Gordy?
Okay, right. So, actually, it's probably better if I go through the team because then you'll understand why they're on the bench.
Okay, all right then. All right. Okay, hey, it's your team, bro. It's your team. Okay.
So I'm politely telling you to piss off.
Yeah.
Okay. So starting at number one. Now, when I think about number one, there's been so many players that have stood out, and like Lance Ohio, of course, he was the fullback in 2008 for the World Cup. Brent Webb, marvellous fullback, not just for the Kiwis but for the Warriors. But I've gone with Matthew Ridge. And Matthew Ridge is the epitome of leadership. He's the epitome of professionalism. Not the easiest man to get along with, but once you become his friend, you're his friend for life.
Yep.
And that's not the reason why he's in there. He's in the reason because I feel he's the best fullback there. My left wing, and I looked at Richie Barnett, Henry Fa'afili, Sean Hoppy, but I've gone with Manu Vatavei. And purely and simply because of what he brings to a team, his reliability, his not just his strength in attack, but his defensive qualities as well. Moving into the centres, I had some wonderful people that I managed in the Kiwis there. Steve Matai, who was one of the best, and Kevin Iro. Now, talk about one of the best, but I've gone with Jared McCracken.
Wow.
And Jared McCracken, I can just still see him now in full flight. And talk about a vicious bugger. He'd fight till the end. And of course his dad Ken was a Kiwi as well.
And a Ponsonby pony. Got to throw in the ponies. Go the ponies.
Moving into the other centre, I looked at Richie Blackmore and Clinton Torpey. Richie Blackmore, once again, same sort of mould as Jared McCracken. Of course, they played a lot of their football together. And Clinton Torpey, the great finisher, one of the best. But I've gone with Jerome Ropati.
Okay.
And people might say, "Oh, Jerome," but I tell you what, Jerome Ropati, not the flashiest player you'll ever get, but he will never, ever, ever let you down. And of course, he was in the centres for 2008. On my other wing, I looked at Sam Perrott and Jason Nightingale. Both great wingers in their own right, but I've gone with Francis Melly.
Okay.
And Francis Melly, once again, a great finisher. My six, now that was a bit of a struggle there, because I thought this would be easy to do, but it was not. And I look at number 6, and I had Henry Paul, Mutu Tony, and Gene Namu. Great footballers. But I've gone with Benji Marshall.
Wow. Okay.
Benji Marshall was he's just the skill level that he's got, and he's now taking that to his coaching job with the Tigers.
Yeah.
Really no debate about my number 7, although I did think about Tommy Luluwai, although Tommy can play hooker as well. Little General Stacey Jones. So he's in my number 7 jersey. Front row, open side, Terry Hermanson, Greg Eastwood, Sam Rapira, tough as nails, but Nathan Kalis. And, of course, what Nathan Kalis did for us in 2008, and, I mean, we're sitting right beside him here holding up the World Cup, and he's a great leader as well as a great prop. My hooker role, well, talk about hookers, Robbie Paul, Sid Eru, Nathan Feen, Monty Beetham, Richard Swain, but I've gone with Isaac Luke. And, Bully was just such a wonderful footballer, came from a tough background, brought that into the game, and he just did his job absolutely 150%, and of course was the hooker in 2008. The other side of the scrum, Jerry Siusu, Roy Asatasi, Jared Wairera Hargraves, and I only dealt with Jared in my last year, which was 2009 when he came into the Kiwis. So I've gone with Johnny Lomax. Johnny Lomax is my other prop. Second row, and I looked at Logan Swan. Logan Swan, just a wonderful, wonderful footballer, as is Adam Blair and David Kidwell. But who is going to go past the Carver King, Ruben Wiki? And, Ruben Wiki, to me, everybody looked to Ruben for leadership, and he provided it by his actions on the field. Joining him in the second row, well, here's some talent for you. Arwen Gutenbill, Sonny Bill Williams, Jeremy Smith, Tony Iro, David Fa'alogo, but Ali Lauatiti, the Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
And I remember one little instant we played in 2004. We went to France and we were down, with 4 points or something. Time was basically up. Ali Lauatiti, give me the ball. I'll score a try, which he did. Won as the test match. Number 13, not going to go past Simon Mannering, although Taura Nikau was absolutely one of the best as well. But I've gone with Simon Mannering. Now I've come to the bench, and you'll see why, because of
what you've got in the squad.
So Lance O'Hire, utility plus, not just a back but a forward. Quinton Pongia, the Q-Meister. What a wonderful, wonderful footballer. Hard, tough man, and led by example. Now, I've got Stephen Kearney in there as well.
Okay.
His professionalism and the way that he approached the game, and he was born to lead. And on 17, another utility, Henry Paul, who was from Te Atatu.
Yes, the Roosters boys,
Robbie. So then I go to the coach, and I mean I had some wonderful coaches that I worked with. Frank Endicott was the first one that I worked with. Happy Frank, and a wonderful, wonderful coach, and players loved playing for Frank Endicott, and that's why he got the best out of them. Technical skills, absolutely fantastic. What he did in Canterbury, he brought up to the Warriors. What he did at the Warriors for the reserve grade, he took into the Kiwis, and they performed extremely well. Daniel Anderson, a very, very good tactical coach. Daniel Anderson, I never actually saw eye to eye on a lot of things, but a great coach. Gary Freeman, with the other coach that I worked with. I don't even think we ever saw the best of Gary Freeman as a coach. He was only in the role for 1 year.
Sure, it was one season, eh?
Yeah, and but he definitely had the skill there, and of course Wayne Bennett. So Wayne Bennett, even though he wasn't the coach, what he brought to the table. It was just amazing.
Game changer.
Just, my assistant coaches, and I'd like to mention Brian McLennan in there, and James Lulawai, Gary Kemble, the late Gerard Stokes. They were also wonderful assistant coaches that sat alongside the head coaches as well. So that's my Gordy's era Kiwis team. Feel free to, chuck some names in there and challenge me on some of those. But as I say, that was a tough gig doing that, putting that together.
I reckon, mate, and you've put a lot of thought into it. So here's the challenge for if we're going to do, teams of eras. Let's pick a team for the 70s and a team for the 80s, and we'll do that over the next couple of episodes on the podcast here for the Carlaw Park Die Hard.
So we're going to do that, or our
Well, we'll get them to,
viewers,
we'll get the viewers to do it. And just on that too, there's a little bell. I'm told you're meant to hit the bell and you're meant to like us. Okay, so like us. Otherwise, this will help with the podcast getting distribution out there. So that's all your mates as well, Gordy. Get them on, okay? Because everybody on there.
Come listen. And if you don't like it, let us know too. How we can improve? You let us know, because that's what we'll do.
Yeah, like learning how to use all the tech gear to start with.
Oh yeah.
So
that was actually quite a bit of fun, actually.
That's it.
He said, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we learn as we go along. Look, mate, last couple of things I wanted to ask you, and that's due to the experience you have, the time that you have, and you're an old bugger. The rugby league challenges that lie before our game, what do you feel they are, and what can we do about them? You know, like, I mean, is it does it start at grassroots and how we look after our clubs, you know, and what they need? You know, what are some of the challenges that we have?
Well, without a doubt, it's grassroots, and it's we've got the kids that want to play footy at 100%, but it's getting the coaches and the equipment that they need. And I know that, like, all the grassroots clubs are struggling. My club, Manukau, I only took up coaching that under 6 side because they didn't have a coach. You know, so if you want to get involved with your kids, what better way? Go down to your club and offer yourself over as a coach or a manager or a trainer or anything you want to do. Auckland Rugby League do an amazing job to try and make sure that they get the assistance out to the clubs as well. So our clubland are doing great, but financially they struggle.
Yeah.
So that absolutely is a challenge that everybody, and that's just not rugby league too, Troy. That's rugby as well. Then you look at what the Warriors are doing. The Warriors now have created this, you know, up the wires, which I don't actually like, to be fair. I'm a go the Warriors.
Well, it's an Australian thing, isn't it? Yeah.
You know, so and what the Warriors have done has been amazing for the game in this country. I mean, for 2 years in a row, Mount Smart Go Media Stadium has been sold out for every game, and that includes the games that they took down to Christchurch. They've got a game in Wellington next year. I guarantee that'll be sold out. So what they're doing is they've created this whole new wave of people wanting to play rugby league. Should rugby be worried? Yes, I think they should be. You know, rugby's always been the number one sport in this country.
Yeah, yeah.
But soccer, football numbers are
massive.
Are
I mean,
as well.
and basketball.
And basketball's probably the biggest. So issues facing them, having enough teams for our players to play at all levels. What the Warriors are doing is amazing. You know, we've got the Jersey flag, and of course the women's going through. So it's creating those pathways. I mean, and I'll say 1,000 guys that want to play rugby league, only 2 or 3 of them are going to actually make it and play 5 NRL games. You know, so it's a tough road to be on. Mm-hmm. So that support in there, which the Warriors provide, is absolutely instrumental in ensuring that those players can go on, first and foremost, to live their dream at playing the sport. We're a lot better off than we were a few years ago because of how the Warriors are going. Kiwis this year, we've got the Pacifica Cup. So
and just how good is that? How good is that culture and that vibe when those fans come?
Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, so unfortunately Samoa not playing. Australia's not playing this year because they're going over to England for the Ashes. So we've got Tonga, Samoa, and New Zealand are playing, and same with the women as well. But they've got Australia playing. Right,
of course.
As well.
Yeah.
Stacey Jones is the head coach. I think Stacey Jones is going to make a wonderful, wonderful coach. He has all the attributes that are required of a head coach. Most of all, number one being experience. His tactical nous is second to none. He struggled last year. I think he had 12 first pick players unavailable through injury. So there were 7 debutants last year. We got beaten by Tonga, but
did that, just on that game, did that surprise you?
I'm going to say no. It didn't surprise me, purely and simply because of the lack of players that Stacey had to choose from. But the intensity of that game, and you just mentioned it before about the support that the Pacifica nations receive, that stadium up here when they won, they only won by 1 point, let's not forget, was absolutely amazing. It was electric, and that team would have rode home on that emotion, and Fanua Blake, he wouldn't have played a better game of football in his life, so it didn't surprise me, disappointing, but it didn't surprise me. But we'll win it this year. We'll win Pacifica Cup this year.
Oh, good, mate.
But what I do want to win is another World Cup. I hate being the only manager that's ever won.
Oh, yeah, bring that up. Hey, bring that up. And I've got one of the original jerseys too, so I'll get a photo of that in. Hey, look, at this point, I think for our first podcast, mate, we've managed to pull it together. Amazing hour. We could have ripped another lap. and he had no problem.
Next time I'm bringing a beer.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, we'll just have another cup of tea. Here we go.
There
you go. Here you go. Ooh, it's a hot one. Just wanted to say a big thank you to our sponsors, and we do have sponsors. They are Sony. So Sony have come on board, and we'll have a couple of prizes that we'll give away during the course of the season, and also Mike Farrelly. Now let's just talk about Mr. Farrelly for a little bit. Yeah. Farrelly Photos. This man has carried on from his father, and his father is a legacy of Carlaw Park Photos. Yeah. And the amount of team photos that we're going to be pulling out of Mike's vault are going to bring tears to somebody's eyes. Yes. So I'm going to bring a couple up, and we'll show them as we go through the course of the Carlaw Park Diehards podcast season, and there'll be a couple of really cool points to talk to on that. Gordy, absolutely fabulous to have you here, mate. I'm looking forward to co-hosting with you, for the next 15 episodes that we tee up on this. I've said 15. 15?
You only signed me to 5. Did I not read the 5?
No. That was a Ryneck contract for you, my brother, okay? And you know what happened to Ryneck. But, mate, I hope you've enjoyed the experience. I know I have, and I'm looking forward to, getting the next few episodes out and away. And thank you and the board at New Zealand Rugby League, the museum, for allowing us to be here. I couldn't think of a better place to do it, mate.
And don't forget, give us your feedback, because we want this to work for you. So give us a feedback, and if there's any sponsors out there that want to jump on board to make this even better, get hold of Troy, and because we'd love to have you as part of this this rugby league journey.
Carlaw Park, the spiritual home, where Kiwi League hearts found their throne. Legends were born, warriors made, on hallowed ground where history played.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Carlaw Park, always and true. The heart